This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast here, this Monday Night Raw review. Big time Monday Night Raw from Madison Square Garden. Roman Reigns returns and attacks not just Seth Rollins, but CM Punk. Roman Reigns goes after CM Punk, presumably out of jealousy or some kind of territorial reason for Paul Heyman helping CM Punk or consoling him after the match. Paul Heyman is helping him up. That sets off Roman Reigns, and I'm not quite sure why. Okay, I don't hate it, but to Roman Reigns' reasoning for attacking CM Punk, outside of some kind of vengeful jealousy or just territorial thing, as I said, I don't understand, because CM Punk actually was the one who helped Roman Reigns at Survivor Series. And if this is some kind of way to cash in the favor from CM Punk by Paul Heyman, I don't know what the favor could be. I really was hoping that it would be a Punk and Cena and Cody triple threat for the WWE Championship, because Rollins and Reigns deserves to be one-on-one. It deserves to be. It doesn't need a third wheel. So it definitely seems like Rollins and Reigns are headed to WrestleMania to face one another. But now the tide has shifted a bit to Roman versus Punk versus Rollins, which was reported several weeks ago as a potential possibility. And I don't think that's the best use of anyone's time, because sure, three big names. Would I watch it? Yes. Do I hate the idea? No. But what's on the line exactly? I mean, personal vendettas, I guess. But Rollins and Reigns have more than enough to fill a program. They deserve a damn WrestleMania match after not having a real proper program in 10 years. They dip and drib and drab, and oh, here's a match at Royal Rumble 2022, and they're not going to do anything until WrestleMania 40, but then when he comes to WrestleMania 40, Rollins is just going to have a 5-second interaction with Roman Reigns. They've never really had a true program, and this could be the one. So I really, at this moment, don't like the inclusion of Roman and Punk, or rather Punk, in the otherwise Roman versus Rollins story. But we'll see where it goes. We've certainly seen Triple H and company change direction, or make it look like they're going down this path, but really they're going down another. That's happened many times already, and they've shown it. So we'll wait and see. But if it is indeed a triple threat, I don't like that as of this moment. Of course, card subject to change. So anyway, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you want to go on Patreon, good way to go ad-free. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. And we also have an Apple Podcast subscription that you can get at ad-free experience as well. As a side note, I'm actually in the middle of watching the Vince McMahon documentary series on Netflix. I know I'm way behind the trend, but that's how far I am in terms of trying to catch up on things that everybody else seems to have already watched. And I'm behind everybody else, and what's cool at the moment. Right now I'm in the Ruthless Aggression era. I think I'm on like episode 5 or 6 or something. So it's an interesting documentary. It's not exactly about Vince's scandal. They mentioned that the scandal happened after the taping of this documentary series. So at some point, we'll get an actual documentary, I would imagine, on the scandals of Vince McMahon. That's not what this documentary is about. More about Vince growing up in the business, and, if you haven't already seen it anyway, that's what it's about. It's about his evolution in the business. A few scandals here and there with the steroids, some sexual harassment allegations, Sable's lawsuit of sexual harassment in the workplace, all, but not the real nitty-gritty stuff, that you'd want to hear if you're looking for dirt, so to speak. But it is a really well-done documentary series nonetheless. So let's get to Monday Night Raw, everybody. Let's start right at the top here as we have Jey Uso come out And fans, again, he's coming from the concourse, fans chanting yeet, and then Grayson Waller comes out. So it ends up right off the bat, a Jey Uso Grayson Waller match with Austin Theory at ringside. And Cole said it was the second ever singles match between the two, and the crowd was really behind Jey Uso. So that's a good sign for Madison Square Garden. Well, really for Jey Uso, because as we all know, New York, Chicago crowds can be brutal and sometimes are often ahead of a certain trend or sometimes start trends. They were behind Jey Uso the whole way here. So if the creative team or if management is worried about Jey Uso moving into WrestleMania, if the fans are going to turn on him or accept him, MSG is a really good test to see whether or not your guy's really over and you're going to have any concerns about the fans turning. I don't see that happening. Madison Square Garden pretty much locked that up last night. So we have this being a 9-minute match, and it ended with Jey getting the victory with a super kick and getting a spear and a victory. I mean, a pretty straightforward match. Nothing really good or bad for either guy. Just a match that ends in Jey Uso winning as he should. He's heading into the main event of WrestleMania. He damn well better. And after the match, though, is really what this was set up for. And Jey was attacked by Waller in Theory. Yes, Jey sent Waller to ringside and then speared Theory. And then after that, he followed up with an Uso splash. And that's when Gunther comes out behind Jey, puts him in a sleeper hold until he passed out. And then Gunther put a foot on Jey. This is a nice trend for Gunther, even though he's not getting, I think, and I still continue to say this, Jey and Gunther need to have a couple of Raws where they are the dominant story. I understand that we have Rock and Cena turning heel and Cody, and I understand all that. But they need to dedicate a couple of shows where the Jey Gunther story is woven throughout, where it's the main focus. I don't even know why Cody's showing up. I understand he's champion, but he belongs on SmackDown because he's drafted to SmackDown. So there's that. I'm sure the fans don't care, but again, I'm a stickler for those kinds of rules, and I'm just screaming into the ether. But this is good because while they're not getting them as much attention as the World Championship should heading into WrestleMania, Gunther's getting some pretty damn good heat. In a crowd like Madison Square Garden, it is notorious for cheering for heels or trying to tell the company, hey, this guy is booked as a bad guy, but damn, we love him. Gunther didn't get that. The fans were right in line with the rest of the crowds that have preceded them, and and in being cheering for Jey, booing Gunther. So that's a good sign. And it's also a great way to continue to get heat on Gunther and make you want to get behind Jey more. Gunther continues with these sneak attacks week after week after week. It's not a complex formula. It's not one that's going to blow your mind. It's not one that you have to really do a whole lot of thinking about and decoding. It's just straightforward. And that's okay. Not every story needs to have 4 different layers to it. 14 different layers to it, I should say. You can have a very straightforward program, and that's this one. Jey's the underdog. People are saying he can't do it. You have the dominant heel who's already beat him earlier this year, a couple of months ago in a straight-up match. Beat him fair and square, saying he doesn't deserve to be here, attacking him from behind, building heat. This is a formula that no matter how many times you do it, it doesn't really ever not work. So I think this is fine. And do I still expect Jey to win? I do. Would I book him to win? No, but I think I'm in the minority on that one. So let me get a video package recapping Punk and Rollins. And that video package started when Punk returned to WWE. Rollins was shown in his dressing room, and Punk was shown warming up in the New York Knicks locker room while Cole hyped the cage match for later in the show. All right. And then Pat McAfee's still around. So those of you who are just not Pat McAfee fans because he said Canada sucks, well, he's still here. Moving on, we have Logan Paul come out, and he had spotted a fan that had an I Hate Logan Paul shirt. Paul ripped the shirt off the fan and then headed to the ring, and he was booed. Logan Paul said AJ Styles was supposed to call him out, but he decided to beat him to the punch. Paul said, when you hear his name, you think of names like John Cena and The Rock. He said they have transcended sports entertainment and will do anything to get to the top. And he mocked Cody Rhodes' decision to reject The Rock's offer. He pointed out comedian Andrew Schultz, I don't know. I've honestly never heard of him in my life. Again, all this pop culture stuff, guys, I'm probably embarrassing myself, especially the younger audience. I don't know who any of these... I've never heard of Travis Scott in my life until he showed up at the PLE and made an embarrassment of himself. And I don't know who the hell Andrew Schultz is. Never heard of him. Never seen him. Don't know. I never heard of I Show Speed. That was a new one too. So all these like current pop culture icons, I guess I'm showing my age at this point because I have never heard of any of these men in my life. Apparently I'm behind the trends. Anyway, so Schultz didn't look impressed by Paul. And Paul asked Schultz, I'm just going to say Schultz. Schultz doesn't sound right. Schultz sounds better, so I'm just going to call him that. And he asked him who he came to see. And he said he came to see the cage match like everyone else. And then he said no one was there to see Paul and said New York City wants to see real wrestlers like AJ Styles. And then Paul ended up pulling Schultz over the top barricade and threw him in the ring. He was about to set him up for, I don't know what, maybe a suplex. And that's when AJ Styles comes out. They brawl. He gets hit with a phenomenal forearm. AJ Styles hits Paul with a phenomenal forearm. And that was pretty much it. So that was, I think that was an effective segment. Number one, Logan Paul got a really good reaction in terms of heat. That's what you're looking for. That's what he got. AJ Styles is doing something relevant, despite the fact that, yeah, he's working with Logan Paul, and some may say that's beneath him. I don't think so. I'm not saying that Logan Paul is on the level of AJ Styles in terms of respect or body of work. That's not what I'm saying. But they're kind of a perfect match for one another. AJ Styles is still somehow close to the best he's ever been. Close to, not exact, but close. He's in incredible shape for his age. On the backside of his career, he's entered the stage of his career where he's giving back, helping build new stars. I think he's accepted that. Not that he ever can have a title run again in terms of an Intercontinental or U.S. title or even a very quick world title run. I don't think that's likely, but he still could. But he's definitely moved primarily into that position, into that role as he enters the twilight years of his in-ring career. And that's cool because he can still have a killer match with Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and I fully expect that to happen. That looks definitely like a match that's about to be official for WrestleMania. AJ Styles versus Logan Paul looks, and I wouldn't sleep on that match. I really wouldn't. That match is set up to be a sleeper dark horse potential match of the night candidate. Yes, the storyline is not exactly super deep, but when you look at the ability of both men, it's set up to be an amazing match. We'll see if it's actually executed that way. We'll see. So we then have the NXT champion, showing up in the building, holding his title belt, while Cole hyped the Roadblock-themed edition of the NXT show for Tuesday night. I believe somebody's bringing a sign, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody emailed me. I have to look. I thought I saw something. Somebody is actually going to bring a sign. I don't know if it'll make it on television for the podcast. If it does, that would be awesome. But yeah, so let's continue to see what's going on here. We've got New Day, the New Day, Kofi and Xavier versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee in a tornado tag team match. You don't see that very often. And this was an 11-minute match with Kofi and Xavier getting the victory. But the finish was a little wonky. We had a luchador wearing an American flag as a mask, and he attacked Rey and Dragon Lee, and then security pulled the man over the barricade, and Cole asked if the mask had said American made on it. And then the announcers, McAfee was continuing to play dumb. And then the Masked Man was shown running away. And New Day hit their finish on Ray and got the victory. So, yeah, it's, if anybody doesn't know what Chad Gable, I don't think I'm giving away state secrets here. It's Chad Gable. Given the fact that you could tell right through his mask and the stalled German suplex, which is just an incredible feat of strength. It's just, I understand that, doing that to Rey Mysterio isn't exactly, because of Rey's weight it's still incredible. The stability of core control you have to have, the strength in your core you have to do that and do it safely is incredible. So kudos to Chad Gable, or excuse me, the masked luchador. So we got then Finn Balor complaining to Carlito that Braun Breaker's rubbing him the wrong way. Liv, Raquel, and Dom showed up, and then Morgan said Rodriguez would face Bayley for a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And then Dom informed Balor that he went to GM Adam Pearce and got Balor a match against Breaker for next week. Dom said Pearce was just waiting for Balor to make it official, and Balor hugged Dom and made his exit. Morgan said she didn't know why Dom didn't put himself in the match, and Dom told her that he believes in Balor. So the tension continues. The tension and the eventual disintegration and defection of Finn Balor from the Judgment Day is just taking baby steps forward. It's going to happen. And Balor will return to a babyface role. Probably post-Mania. So, we then had an Evolve play-by-play voice, Peter Rosenberg, showing the crowd, and rapper Fabulous was in the crowd, a shot of a man holding a title belt in front of his face. He pulled the belt down to reveal himself as Macaulay Culkin. Macaulay Culkin, I gotta say, has been in... How many wrestling events have I seen him at over the last couple of months? Am I wrong? I've seen... This might be the second or third time that I've seen Macaulay Culkin, there. So, I don't know. Kind of a weird combination. Just being a fan of Home Alone, which is my favorite Christmas movie. I still, obviously thinking of him as Kevin, it's such a weird overlap of my childhood favorite Christmas movie and my passion as I got older. It's something that somehow is warped together. My brain can't compute. So, all right. We then got Cody Rhodes, and he comes out, and he then still in the ring, obviously, and asked New York City fans what they... I'm not even going to say it because we all know. Cody then talked about John Cena, put over Madison Square Garden, of course, but John Cena was booed loudly. That's another really good sign. Again, Cody said Cena was not there and said Cena told his inner circle that consists of Travis Scott and The Rock that he wouldn't be at Madison Square Garden, but he will be in Brussels, Belgium next week. There we go. Cody said he doesn't know if he likes that. He said it's the same Cena that won the U.S. title in Madison Square Garden and also returned to win the Rumble in the same venue, and said apparently it was an easy decision for Cena to miss the show, and apparently it's an easy decision to kick someone in the nuts when you have backup. He said he doesn't begrudge Cena for having a part-time schedule, and said fun things happen when it's live on Netflix. He told the fans to go ahead with the Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks, which is still going on. He said Cena is somewhere watching and then encouraged the crowd to let him hear it. And Cody said he was annoyed by Cena's tweet, quote, have the discipline to do what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. And Cody said at some point you have to say, sit down, John, you damn moron, and said there were almost 17,000 fans in attendance, and said he will be and have the privilege of heartbreaking his hero when he gets the chance to take away his last opportunity to win a championship. And he said, quote, John, I'm the captain now. So good promo. Good promo. It also gave us an idea of when we're finally going to see John Cena, and it is next week. And I do wonder if, while Madison Square Garden did boo John Cena initially, there was the Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks chance. If the fans are going to start to cheer John Cena because he finally turned heel. We've seen that before. Just ask Becky Lynch, right? One of the most prolific examples of turning someone heel that did nothing but turn them the biggest babyface in the company. Not saying that's going to happen with Cena. I hope people embrace it and don't cheer him. I really do. I wouldn't cheer him. If you want John Cena to really show what he can do as a heel, don't cheer him. Let's do it. I mean, like, collectively, guys. Let's just boo Cena and see what this heel character is all about. It's the only chance we've got in our lifetimes to see what a heel John Cena looks like. We'll never get another chance. We've got from now until December. That's it. And likely less than that because he'll turn back babyface a month or two before he really does retire. So, big show next week with Cody and Cena in the same building for the first time since Elimination Chamber on next week's Raw. Again, how Cody's able to show up on Raw, I guess just we'll say because he's champion, he can. And we'll just go with that. But big deal. More importantly than Cody getting revenge physically on Cena is what is Cena going to say? What is Cena going to look like? Does he change his music? Does he change his tone? How does he walk to the ring? All these little things we're going to get to see play out next week. What a real heel John Cena looks like. It's going to be fascinating. All right, we get some footage from Madison Square Garden in 1983 with Jimmy the Superfly Snuka hitting a splash on Don Morocco. Kind of cool. Always cool to see the history in MSG. And then, let's see. We got, oh, wow. See, here's the thing I missed. It's in Brussels, right? Guess what time, guys? If you're on the East Coast, guess what time Monday Night Raw is on next week? You're probably still at work. Monday Night Raw, for the first time I can think of maybe ever, is on at 3 o'clock Eastern time next week, 2 Central. What? I mean, that's just crazy town. Now, I know everybody overseas is used to the insane times you have to watch shows or watch them on delay. But, I mean, here in the United States, we're spoiled. We don't deserve this treatment. We don't deserve it. All right. It's going to be crazy. So watch the spoilers. That's what you got to be careful of, are the spoilers. When it's that early and you're scrolling social media, maybe you're on your break or a really late lunch or your whatever, and you're scrolling through and all of a sudden you see a spoiler. That's the problem. When it's something that you have to watch on delay. So just be mindful of that. Okay. Bayley versus Raquel Rodriguez for a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. This match went 11 minutes as well. A long match. And Raquel Rodriguez beats Bayley. So that was, to me, a bit of a shock, given Raquel has been really doing much of nothing as of late, and Bayley's a much bigger star than Raquel is. But the way that they've treated Bayley lately, especially over the last year or two, it's kind of par for the course. I really am, not that they bury Bayley. She does get pretty consistent TV time, but they haven't focused the division around Bayley, I mean, since she came up. It's, I would say Bayley probably views her time in wrestling as numbered. You know, if I'm Bayley, and I'm not, and I hope she doesn't feel this way, but if I were her, I would feel this way. It's kind of discouraged. It's been a long sample size now. It's not just like a few months, 6 months, even a year. Like, I've been a afterthought in the women's division now for several years. I was pushed aside during the Damage Control days. I did win the championship last year at WrestleMania, but then, they didn't do anything with me. I'd be a bit discouraged. I mean, Bayley's still a big star, but if I'm her, I'm thinking, okay, I'll do the best I can, but I know I'm probably never going to be the focal point again. That's the message I would receive if I were Bayley. I don't think that or I hope that that's not true, because there still is something they could do with Bayley, I think, more than what they've shown. But that said, I mean, she's a really good in-ring wrestler. Her character is still a little bit ill-defined, exactly, but she has got a great look. Her promos are okay to good at times. I don't think she's outstanding on the mic. But she certainly has brand value. She's certainly a star that they could push at any time and be believable, and the fans would get behind it. So here's the finish of the match. Bayley sets up for a dive. Dom then climbs on the apron and distracts the referee while Morgan interferes. Bayley fights off Morgan and then Dom before going for a suicide dive, and Rodriguez catches Bayley, dumps her on the broadcast table, and Bayley beats the referee's count with a big boot, but was hit with a big boot, and then Raquel hits the Tejada bomb and gets the victory. Crowd was into this, though. It's not as if they don't like Bayley. I think the fans have kind of just understood where Bayley sits now in the pecking order of things. So we then have let's see here, Michael Cole in the ring. He introduces the new Women's World Champion, Iyo Sky. A "You Deserve It" chant breaks out. And then Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair follow suit. But the promo here, I'll get into the content of it, but I'm going to make a case for a shocking end to this potential triple threat, or at least that's where it looks like it's going for WrestleMania. So Belair said she did speak favorably about facing Iyo Sky at WrestleMania, and Cole asked Belair if she thought she'd be facing Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania if Belair had not appeared at ringside, and Belair spoke about how she'd had enough drama in her life lately. And Ripley comes out and she comes in and says that there was no reason for Belair to be out there. She said maybe Belair should have let her handle her business while Sky handled her own with Naomi and Jade Cargill. And Belair took offense to Ripley bringing that up, and Belair said Ripley was upset for her clapping for Sky and asked if that sounded crazy to her. Belair said Ripley can't beat Sky, and she's blaming her for it. Iyo Sky tried to intervene, but Ripley pie-faced her, and then Ripley accused Belair of hiding behind her, just like she hid behind Naomi and Jade. Sky tried to cut in again, but Belair pie-faced her, and that's when Iyo Sky shoved Ripley, slapped her across the face, and then did the same to Bianca. The crowd loved this. Absolutely loved it. Sky yelled, exited the ring while they were both left holding their jaws. This, I think, while the reviewer I'm reading said it was, quote, meh, I think there was an effectiveness to this that was well executed. Because, and I think I've fallen into this trap, that Belair versus Ripley is the match they should make. And I still think it is, or at least it should have been. And at some point, hopefully it will be. Belair versus Ripley with no third wheel or fourth wheel or fifth wheel or outside. That's a money match that, for the love of God, get to before somebody gets hurt or whatever. Some weird thing happens or they never get to it for whatever reason. That is a money match, and they need to keep that in their back pocket. However, I will say that Iyo Sky has transformed herself quietly into a really big baby face in the women's division. She's got all the ingredients, except one, but you know they've found a way to cure that, and that's with the promos. Number one, she has respect among the fans because she's been here a while. The fans know who she is. And there is something to be said for that after she's been around as long as Iyo Sky has. Number two, she's really good in the ring. And maybe most importantly, she's really good. Really good. She does have an X factor. Her entrance is decent. And she does have she has a more mature kind of vibe around her than did Asuka. Where Asuka was just in your face cartoonish, almost embarrassing at points, to the point. I just sometimes as good as Asuka was in the ring, and I think she was very good. I thought at times that Asuka was just embarrassingly cartoonish. Iyo kind of has a more mature vibe than Asuka does, although she's very animated as well. So she's a more clean version, I think, of Asuka, but that's just my own two thoughts. I think that this showed with the slap that, hey, don't forget about me. I'm still champion. And I will say this. I would actually make the case Iyo retains at WrestleMania. Why? Number one, the fans would accept it and actually, I think, love it. Number two, it would then put Iyo, or rather Rhea and Bianca, on a collision course with one another without Iyo, because one of them could blame the other for losing the match. And then they target each other and Iyo goes and faces somebody else. I think that's the most likely scenario. And actually, early call, I think Iyo Sky retains. Because the fans are starting to get behind her. There is this, and you got to be really watchful of these. Those talents that somehow come out of nowhere, not necessarily new talents, but the ones that have been there a while, and then all of a sudden, the fans have found something to hang on to with that talent. There's that, like, that X factor that the fans are like, you know what? Damn it. I don't know how we didn't see this before. You're our guy. Or in this case, you're our girl. And they just get behind it, and they're just, it's almost like this self-propelling momentum, like the self-sustaining momentum that the fans bring from one show to the next. And I think that's potentially what Iyo has, this organic fan support that we recognize how damn good you are in the ring. You've got that like aura about you. You are seemingly being disrespected by Bianca and Rhea as a non-factor here. There is something to be said here for like the little guy or little girl in this case, so to speak. So just this could propel Iyo onto a really big platform here in terms of just being one of the faces of the women's division. I know she's the champion, but being a champion doesn't automatically make you a face of a division. It doesn't. So anyway, I thought it was really well done. I love this segment. I did. Was it as effective as the one with Bianca and Naomi crying? I mean, in terms of emotions felt, no, but that's two different purposes for two different segments. So, all right. We then have CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Well, actually, I'm sorry. We had shots of NXT Women's North American Champion Stephanie Vaquer. I can't even say it. That's how many times I've said her name. And they hyped her match with WWE or NXT Women's Champion Giulia. Guys, this is why I have an NXT guy doing this. Jay does a great job because I don't know how to even pronounce the names. I would normally, or I probably should, a normal sane human being would have cut this audio because it would be embarrassing. You don't know how to pronounce the names, and yet you have a wrestling podcast, no less a WWE named wrestling podcast, and you don't know how to pronounce the names of the people in NXT. But I'm not a normal or sane person. I also I have no shame. Just no shame at all. All right. Probably not a great trait, but it's a trait. It's a feature, not a flaw, as they say, but right. So we get the steel cage match, and this match was long. I mean, it was PLE long, but boy, was it good. 22 minutes and 30 seconds. This match was just, yeah, it was very long. Do I like the kickouts of the stomp? I don't. The kickouts of finishes need to stop immediately. I would hold an all-staff meeting. Nobody without prior permission, maybe even prior written permission, can kick out of finishes anymore until further notice or without prior consent from our office. Nobody. I don't like it. The rookies use it. The veterans use it. It's just a disease across the board in wrestling. It's the only thing bad I could say about this match. But other than that, I mean, they worked their ass off. They worked their ass off. Incredible match here. Again, yes, we had a stomp. We had, let's see here. Just looking for some spots I may have forgotten here. So Punk goes up to the middle rope. He shot up, tripped Rollins on the ropes, hit him with the GTS, covered him for another near fall. Punk sat up, looked at the WrestleMania sign while showing frustration. And then we had Punk get back to his feet and then hit the stomp on Rollins, covered him for another near fall. Punk thought about leaving through the cage door, which I think is the most just stupid way to win that match. That match, and every cage match, it needs to be said, because perhaps this lands in somebody's ears in WWE. I love a steel cage match. I love me a steel cage match. Fans love steel cage matches. Just the very name steel cage match brings up a lot of memories and thoughts and emotions. But can we remove one way to win a match? Just one. I'll even accept that you could escape the cage over the top. I'll accept it. I don't like it, based on principle that the match is supposed to force you to stay in the ring with your opponent, and you can win by trying to run away. Think about that for a second. That if you run away, you win. That's a strategy. Explain that one to me, right? So that I would ban. But if you're not going to ban that, then can we at least ban going through the door as a path to victory? The reason is these are all world-class athletes. And you're telling me that they can't just sprint to the door and get the victory? I'm supposed to believe that they can do 450 splashes, maneuvers off the top of the steel cage, run the ropes, as Braun Breaker does, at 27 miles an hour or whatever it is, 28, I don't know, 68 miles an hour. I don't know the exact number. And yet, when it comes to walking through a steel cage door, which is unlocked prior to you walking towards it, they just are befuddled how to get through it. It's a Rubik's Cube problem. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of math equation that's unsolvable. You can see the numbers and division signs above their heads. When they see that door, they're like, what am I supposed to do with this thing? How do I get over there? You mean I need to move quickly? I know that this is pronounced throughout wrestling where they suddenly can't climb a ladder. I understand that kind of stuff. But this, out of all the things that annoy me in pro wrestling stipulations, and there's quite a few, this is just ridiculous. Can we remove this stipulation that you walk through the door to get the victory? Nobody can tell me it's a great way to win. I don't want to hear that it is a effective way to win, that it's just another way for a way to book a finish. Well, how about this? You could escape the cage, but that doesn't mean you win. You still have to pin or submit your opponent inside the ring. So sure, you want to walk outside the cage? Be my guest. Be my guest. Or, here's what I would do. If you escape the cage, if you walk out the door or over the top, and again, this is my fantasy world, you lose. You're disqualified. You're out. You're out of bounds. You lose. The cage, the purpose of the cage is to keep two opponents in. So, I've made my point, but this was still a good match. Roman Reigns shows up, as I said at the beginning of the show. He ends up spearing Rollins on the floor, stomping Rollins on the floor. And then, as I mentioned, and as you saw, Paul Heyman comes in the ring, talks to CM Punk, seems to console CM Punk, and then Roman proceeds to attack CM Punk. And it seems that this is leading to a triple threat. But I would argue or question what is on the line here with a triple threat with these three megastars. What in the hell is on the line for these three? I know it's on the line with Rollins and Reigns. Pride, history, bad blood. With Punk, Rollins and Reigns have had their fun. They've gone through many a match already. With Reigns and Punk, sure, we haven't explored that really yet since Punk returned. But that's also, to me, arguably a one-on-one program, dating back to when Punk left the company 12 years ago. You can pull on that. But to intermingle these three, it feels confusing, or it feels unnecessarily complex. And it also doesn't allow Punk to have a main event of WrestleMania on his bingo card checked off finally. Because that's not going to be a main event. It's not. I don't see it. As big as these guys are, it doesn't warrant a night one event, because night two, again, is locked up, throw away the key. It's Cody versus John Cena, or Cody, John Cena, and Punk. That's how I do it, but it doesn't seem like they're going that way. Night one is presumably Gunther and Jey. If you're going to anoint Jey world champion, and he's the Royal Rumble winner, and you want to keep true and stay true to the Royal Rumble winner main eventing WrestleMania, well, then you have to keep Jey and Gunther in that number one night one spot. You just kind of have to. Do I think it's warranted? I mean, it's in the conversation. I would argue that even the women have, in some ways, a better argument to main event night one. Given Belair versus Ripley, yeah, okay, fine, Iyo Sky's involved. And I do still, again, I praise the segment, but I still believe one-on-one at WrestleMania is superior in almost every case. And Rhea, Bianca is a bigger match than Iyo, Rhea, or Rio. Any combination of the three, it is the biggest match you could put up. But with Iyo there, she's going to absolutely kill it. The fans are behind her. And you can easily argue that that's a night one main event. But I don't think it is. It can't be. It can't be, right? Because if Jey is, say, the first or middle or semi-main event, well, it spits in the face not only of what the Royal Rumble is supposed to afford you, which is the main event of WrestleMania, and therefore a title shot, which should always be the main event in almost every case, almost, except for Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens in night one, which is that's there are rare exceptions, and that's one of them. When you have a legend, the biggest, hottest guy ever to be in the business, come out of retirement, that supersedes a lot. So that's what I would say about that. But this is shaping up to be a very wild WrestleMania. One that just 3-4 weeks ago, a lot of us were kind of ho-hum about. Doesn't feel like WrestleMania season yet. What's going on? A lot of the stars haven't come back. Where's The Rock? At the time, we didn't know. All of a sudden, boom, boom, boom. John Cena turns heel. Rock returns. Iyo Sky is starting to light up the world here. Or light up the women's division anyway. I don't want to go overboard. You have Logan Paul and AJ Styles, which is going to absolutely kill it. And I do think that match is going to be off the charts. You've got the women's side of things on the SmackDown side with the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton taking on Charlotte Flair. That is WrestleMania worthy. Could John Cena win a 17th championship? That's a hell of a question. Who helps The Rock? Is anybody else under his sleeve? What about who helps Cody? You guys already know who I think is going to. So there's a lot to think about, lot to mull over, and more to come, including guys that we're not thinking of. And I know this is a name that I'm going to throw out there, and many of you are going to say no chance, no way. And odds are you're probably right, but what about Brock Lesnar? That's a name no one's talking about. And when we are, it's just, oh, wait, it looks like he's not coming back. Oh, wait, another allegation. Oh, wait, right. Not good times for Brock. Definitely not. But if things are somehow quietly resolved and he is absolved of any wrongdoing, which I do hope is the case, I really, truly do, Brock Lesnar returning would be a huge story. Think about that. Unlikely, given what we know at this very moment, but Brock Lesnar returning just before or at WrestleMania, there's another big potential name returning. So, it is WrestleMania season, 5 weeks to go until the big show. Next week, mega show with John Cena showing up, Cody Rhodes in the building. John Cena we get to hear from for the first time since his turn at Elimination Chamber. Should be fascinating to hear what he has to say. What I said earlier is what he looks like, what he talks, how he talks. All of it's going to be just a very interesting time. And I don't think The Rock is scheduled. They just said John Cena, but perhaps The Rock shows up. It's not needed because it's more about John Cena than anything. Maybe Travis Scott will be there for Braun Breaker to have a little fun with. In my fantasy land, that's what would happen. But yeah, so heck of a Monday Night Raw, everybody. I think it was one that that added more questions, but also gave us a little bit of answer. But you do wonder if the answers you're given are ones that are just trying to deceive you into what WWE is actually going to do. Meaning, Roman attacking Punk is not necessarily a triple threat between these three. It could just be a diversion for what Punk is really going to ask Paul Heyman for, which is a potential title match. That's what I would do. He's got this favor. You've got this favor from a guy that is got a lot of connections. It's WrestleMania season. You haven't had a main event of WrestleMania ever in your career, and that's been the one thing that you continue to say has been sticking in your neck. Well, do it. Now's the time. Why not? You've got a powerful guy in a powerful position, and he owes you a favor? Hell, go for it. That's what I would do. So that'll do it for me on the Monday Night Raw review. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want an ad-free experience, patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can also go to Apple Podcasts and go ad-free there. And I'll be back on Friday with your mailbag. In between now and then, you'll have the NXT review. You'll get the After Dark. For those of you who are on Patreon on the NXT and above, you're going to get into the exclusive After Dark show that's on Wednesdays with Luis. And then I'll be back, as I said, on Friday. And then you'll have your SmackDown review on Saturday morning with Amanda from the UK, who does also just an awesome job. So shout out to her. All right, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your day, morning, evening, night, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.